had a friend reach out asking about food while traveling. They're about to do a really big international trip and they were having a hard time finding snacks fitting in the AIP realm. And it just so happens that I have 2 really massive trips coming up, and I've been spending the last couple of months preparing all of that food, and I want to share that with you guys. So I thought about waiting until I was back home because I'm currently house sitting and the majority of my food is there. But I just got too excited to talk about this because I love talking about food and travel. And so I'm just gonna share what I do, and I have my notes because it will help me remember everything as best as I can. And then when I'm back home and I have all my food compiled together, I will make a video of literally everything that I'm taking. And again, I just want to share this is my experience and this is what I'm doing based on what I've learned and what I've tested out in my own body. It may not work for you, but this is what works for me when I travel. So I have 2 really awesome trips coming up, and I'm not really going to go into details on them right now, but one of them is within the country and one of them is without. So the first thing that I want to share when traveling within America, at least this is my understanding and my experience every time I have traveled, is that you can bring all your own food, no problem whatsoever. I do always get my food checked through security. It's so funny. I never get my syringes. I never get my medicine, nothing ever checked other than my like dried mangoes and my rice or whatever. My food always gets checked and they always search it. So plan to have a little extra time through security with food, but you can take all your own food anywhere within the country of America. At least that is my understanding. That makes it really easy when traveling within America. Now, traveling internationally, it depends on where you're going in that country's protocols. So the country that I'm going to for about a week, the research that I've done and my understanding is that you cannot bring in your own food unless it is packaged. Now, that's great that I can bring my own food in. Challenging when you have food intolerances or sensitivities, and also heartbreaking when you try to live a zero waste lifestyle and you don't use plastic or packaging when you are at home. So it's a bit of a crossroads figuring out, you know, the lesser of the evils. So I'm just gonna share where I'm at. And I'm definitely not perfect in any way, shape, or form. This is what I'm doing, and I know it's not necessarily always what aligns with my heart or my best interests. But when you have a chronic illness, you have to take all the precautions and you have to take care of yourself. And you can't help others in the world unless you've taken care of yourself first. So during these travel times, I am doing some things that I don't necessarily do at home just to manage and keep my body at bay so I stay safe. So with that little thing being said, yeah, I'm gonna talk a little bit about food. So first and foremost, if I have the option, I make all of my own food, which sounds really daunting and really crazy. It's not. It's actually really fun and really easy. My husband got me a dehydrator a couple years ago. Best tool ever, especially with AIP, because you can dehydrate almost anything. And I dehydrate all the fruits, all the veggies, all the proteins, learned how to make my own jerky, my own bars, and that is a huge tool, especially when you're traveling within the US. So you can pretty much make any meal that you do and then put them in little baggies. You have to seal them up and learn. You do have to do a little bit of like, it's like baking. There's a little science to it. You do have to learn what the amount is. Sorry, brain fog, morning. What the certain amount of hours or cooking temperature is for each individual thing, and then you can mix and match ingredients. There's also a really cool company locally. I met one of the owners when I was hiking recently. I think it's called Packet Gourmet, and they dehydrate all their food individually so that way you can mix and match ingredients. So if you have super sensitivities and you don't have the ability to dehydrate but you really need to get individual food, that's a good option. I'll try to put their link in here as well. Yeah, so for me personally, when I am like backpacking or traveling within the country, I will dehydrate so breakfast I'll do, you can actually dehydrate smoothies, which is really cool. But for me, my AIP journey has kind of evolved, and I've been able to reintroduce rice, and I've been able to reintroduce oatmeal. Oatmeal doesn't do amazing, but I can make it work. And when I travel, sometimes I just try to do the best that I can, because it's not going to be perfect and I'm not going to feel 100% because traveling is really hard on the body, but I try to do as best as I absolutely can to help keep everything functioning properly. So for breakfasts, I will either do a rice cake with some freeze-dried fruit. And if I have to do packaging like I'm going to have to do for my international trip, I know, Bubba, it's not for you. I'll do some freeze-dried berries like this, but if I'm going to do it on my own, I'll just dehydrate like mangoes, any berry, apples, and then put that in with my breakfast, either oatmeal or I'll do smoothies. But also a good alternative too is those, like for the international trips, is the pouches of like baby food. They have like some really fancy evolved flavors now, but there's ones, I can't remember the brand, that have like carrot and pumpkin and apple puree and very simple ingredients. So that's a really great way to get some good nutrients and vitamins in the morning. So for lunch, I don't typically have a lunch that I make, because if I'm backpacking or traveling, you're usually out during the day and it's kind of challenging to eat on the go. So I'll do these little packets. So this one's a salmon packet, but I'll typically do tuna, chicken, or salmon. And this one's literally just pink salmon, water, and salt, this brand. And I'll just have that on the go because I can literally just throw it in my backpack and eat it anywhere. It doesn't really take up any room, super tiny. I'll have that, and then all day long I just eat a million snacks. So I will talk about snacks in a second. And then for dinner, I will dehydrate like a regular meal. I typically almost always eat roasted veggies, a protein, and sometimes rice for dinner. So that's pretty much what I have when I travel. I will either cook and dehydrate rice or use like a rice noodle that you use in like a stir fry, and dehydrate kale, peas, carrots, celery. I think that's my typical staple foods to dehydrate, or veggies. And then I'll dehydrate either beef or turkey or chicken. I think those are the only ones that I've tried so far. I'm thinking about trying pork this go around just to get a few more things in there, and I'll let you know how that goes. But then I'll mix all those ingredients together in little baggies and have individual portions out for my dinners. Or soup. Oh yeah, that's another one. So I'll just pour a soup on the dehydrator. This is one soup that I can actually do okay with. It's literally the only Amy soup I can have, Amy split pea. And I will pour that in the dehydrator, or for like my international trip, I'm legit just taking this can. I'm gonna take a couple of them. It'll make my bag pretty heavy, but it'll guarantee that I have dinner. So that's really great. So those are my like meals. But then when it comes to snacks, I go crazy. I try to have a snack for every hour of the day. And that's just because I know that my blood sugar needs it, my salt levels need it, and my energy levels need it. So I average out about 11 snacks a day, which seems like a lot, but I eat all the food. And so snacks for me, I'll dehydrate all the fruit, I'll make fruit leathers, make those bars. I will buy those really big packs, the family packs of the seaweed, and then cut them up and divvy them up, because seaweed's a really good salty snack. I'm big into olives, into pickles. They have a bunch of packaged ones. Again, packaging is not my favorite, but when we're traveling, we have to honor our bodies. And it's really, so here's my thought on that real quick, is when you are able to do the best that you can, do the best that you can. Absolutely. When I'm home, I do not need to use those things. I do not need packaging, because there's so much reusable available, or glass containers available. So that's how I try to find the balance. It does really hurt my heart though that I have to use packaged things. And I try to, if I am going to get a packaged thing, I really try to get one that has either a way to recycle or return, or a zip pouch on it, so that way you can reuse it as a zip later. That's that tidbit. But I will also get, these are really good. I just found them. And for me personally, I am able to do cheese, and I really need to because of the osteoporosis. Do better with goat cheese, but again, when you're moving and traveling, sometimes you gotta make it work. So I found these are just I don't know if you can see it, Parmesan. I know. Parmesan, or they have cheddar ones. It's literally just like a cheese chip. So I found those that I'm gonna do as well, but there's this company called Hue, I think that's how you say it, and they make AIP Paleo Amazing chocolate bars, and I will pack those. I have chocolate, and I'm trying to think what other snackies I have. I really just repeat it. It sounds really boring, and a lot of time people are like, don't you get tired of the same thing every day? But kind of when I'm home, I also eat all the same things every single day. So it's really no different with traveling. It's just about having the accessibility. Oh, that's it. Fruit bars are really good. And again, while traveling within the country, depending on how long you're going, I can bring a small cooler and I will load that thing with pre-cooked, like boiled eggs, or like roasted veggies, or pre-made meals. That's fine. You can totally do that within America. At least that's been my experience, no problem. But if you're going for longer periods of time and you can't take a cooler, you're going internationally, you can't really bring in cooked pre-made foods or even produce into other countries. So that makes it a little more challenging. So my main tips: find out where are you going, what can you take into that place, and then devise from there. So if you can bring in your own stuff, dehydrate it all, make it all, learn how to do it. Totally worth it. I think our dehydrator was like maybe $40. I use it all the time. And then if you're going somewhere where you can't, try to find the things that your body can be okay with and function to the best of its ability that you can bring with you, so that way it'll support you along the way. I'm sure I'll think of a million more things, or I forgot a million things. But like I said, when I'm back home, I will lay everything out, and it'll kind of maybe look overwhelming and chaotic, but I'm going to be traveling for like in total maybe 5 or 6 weeks. So there's a lot of food prep that's happening, and I'll share more about that later. But as always, thank you guys so much for being here, and please share what you do and what works in your body, or anything that you found that helps support you when you travel, so that way we can learn from each other and help making travel more accessible and easy for all of us. Okay, thank you all. I hope you have a great day.